Hello dear colleagues, my name is Maxim Poltoradnev. I'm working as an agronomist in Uralchem company, and today I will tell you about our new product, nitrogen and sulfur contained NS30N7. Let me begin with several words about our company. The Uralchem company is one of the largest producers of mineral fertilizers in Russia. It is on the first place in Russia and on the second place in world ammonium nitrate production. But the product line, it includes not only nitrogen-contained fertilizers but also phosphorus, potassium and fertilizers with microelements. In 2013 was produced over 6 million metric tons of mineral fertilizers, and there is over 13,000 people in employment with Uralchem. The production of mineral fertilizers is located at 4 facilities. 2 of them are located in Perm region, one in Kirovo-Chepetsk and another one is in Voskresensk. The product to be told about is produced at Kirovo-Chepetsk chemical works plant. The company structure includes own logistics system, Moscow head office, representative offices in the different countries, and 2 trading houses. One of the trading houses is located in Perm, Russia, and another one is located in Riga, Latvia. It is made to introduce the produced fertilizers to the internal market and for the export. Uralchem cares about the modernity and the quality of produced mineral fertilizers. Therefore, we are paying special attention to research activities and to quality control. For this purpose, we are collaborating with leading universities and research institutions all over the world. Why do we need sulfur? So recently, the problem of sulfur deficiency is especially urgent for European countries. The soil sulfur acquisition, natural soil sulfur acquisition rapidly decreases due to the decrease of anthropogenic atmosphere emissions of sulfur. While the removal of this element by yields of modern highly productive crop varieties significantly increased. When sulfur deficiency happens, plants stop synthesizing proteins. Therefore, the nutritional value of the produced yields is diminishing. Sulfur is irreplaceable, and sulfur is the second protein-forming element in plants. So basically, it is a part of amino acids which take part in protein synthesis, and sulfur is a part of cysteine and methionine amino acids, irreplaceable for human beings and animals. It is also a component of plant oils and vitamins. To compensate sulfur deficiency in soils, you can use mineral fertilizers containing sulfur. However, not every sulfur-contained fertilizer can undergo this objective fast and effectively. Among such widely spread and widely used sulfur-contained fertilizers are following. Gypsum, which is a relatively cheap sulfur source. However, it has a main disadvantage that the it has low solubility in water and therefore low availability for plants. Another cheap source of sulfur is elemental sulfur, but plants can assimilate sulfur only in water-soluble sulfate form, and the transaction of elemental sulfur to sulfate form proceeds with great losses, and it needs, moreover, it is time consuming, and it needs special conditions like temperature and wetness. Another sulfur source is ammonium sulfate, which is, unlike previously mentioned, is perfectly soluble, and it contains sulfur in available for plants form. But this fertilizer is specific in use because of the high concentration of sulfur in it. So plants do not need sulfur in such amounts, and therefore additional nitrogen source is needed. Moreover, when using ammonium sulfate, it creates an acidic reaction in the soil, and which negatively impacts the development of plants, and therefore neutralization is needed. Another sources of sulfur are magnesium and potassium sulfate, but these fertilizers are relatively expensive. It is experimentally established that a simultaneous application of nitrogen and sulfur are of a high profit due to the yield increase and quality improvement of the produced yields. Let me represent to you NS30N7. NS30N7 contains 30% of nitrogen by weight and 7% of sulfur if counting on elemental forms, on elements. If you count on sulfur oxide, then it will be 17.5%. NS30N7 is a granular fertilizer. It is not real fertilizer. It is a double salt. It is a chemical mixture, so it's not a blend or physical mixture. NS30N7 contains all the nutrients in each granule, which saves you from additional application of another sources of nitrogen or sulfur, and moreover it influences also the even spreading. NS30N7 contains of nitrate form of nitrogen and ammonium form. 12% of nitrate nitrogen and 18% of ammonium nitrogen are specially created, and this combination of forms is good for plant growth. And so basically at the beginning of growth, plants do not need nitrate nitrogen in big amounts. Therefore 12% of nitrate nitrogen delivered by NS30N7 is assimilated almost fully. The rest of 18% of ammonium nitrogen is less leachable, so it is less mobile. It stays in the soil for a longer time period, and it feeds the plants on the later development stages. So after biotransformation in soil, the ammonium nitrogen transforms to nitrate nitrogen. Therefore, we can say that NS30N7 supplies plants with nutrients along entire vegetative period. The combination NS30N7 is empirically created by the experimental selection. So basically we tried and we tested another forms and another combinations and ratios of nitrogen to sulfur, but the NS30N7 showed the better results. We recommend to use NS30N7 on oil crops and cereals, Moreover, we recommend to use NS30N7 in the case of high precipitations, so in regions with exceeding precipitations, and also we recommend to use NS30N7 in case of low sulfur content in soils and high yielding varieties of crops. NS30N7 is innovative and a highly efficient fertilizer. In the basis, there is a complex approach in the basis of this fertilizer. How is it accomplished? So, special combination of nitrate and ammonium form diminishes nitrogen losses through leaching from the soil profile. So the sulfate sulfur in sulfate form eliminates sulfur deficiency in soil and also stimulates plants to assimilate another elements, another nutrients. Another thing is that simultaneous application of nitrogen and sulfur results in synergistic effect between these two elements, and all of these factors together, they increase yields and increase the quality of produced yield. We have tested agronomical efficiency of NS30N7 in different countries and in different regions all over the world, including those in East and West Europe and Russia. We tested the NS30N7 efficiency also under different crops. The NS30N7 efficiency under wheat in Lithuanian conditions showed that there is an increase in seed yield and also high gluten and protein content in seeds under the NS30N7 treatment as compared to ammonium nitrate. In different experiment was conducted in Russia, Tatarstan region, and here we also got a result of seed yield increase and higher gluten content and protein content in seeds under the NS30N7 treatment, again comparing with ammonium nitrate. An interesting experiment was performed in Mexico. Here we compared NS30N7 with urea, and although the amount of nitrogen applied with urea was 34 kilograms per hectare, less than the amount of nitrogen applied with 30N7, we have observed a higher yield, so a yield increase more than 1 ton per hectare, or 18% higher as compared to urea. Such an effect is because of the less losses due to volatilization which takes place in urea. And also the synergistic interactions which take place in NS30N7. The gain of the yield was observed also under the wheat under NS30N7 treatment in Brazil as compared to urea and NPK 36012. The NS30N7 is also a good fertilizer for oil crops, particularly for oilseed rape. The test performed in Lithuania showed the yield increase and oil content, higher oil content in seeds of the rape, which was fertilized with NS30N7 as compared to ammonium nitrate. A stable increase in seed yield and oil content was established in the treatment performed in Poland. Here, the 3-year experiment showed that that the increase of oil content and seed yield was stable all over the entire measuring period. There was a 17% seed yield increase in case of NS30N7 application under oilseed rape in Mexico compared with urea. We tested the agronomical efficiency of NS30N7 also in the case of technical crops such as cotton, and here we have observed both productive effects and also the effects in plant structure when using NS30N7 with NPK simultaneously, as well as NS30N7 alone, as compared with traditional only nitrogen sources used in this region. So the plant height, amount of squares and amount of balls was higher in the case of NPKs and NS30N7 treatments. The yield of seed cotton was also higher in the case of NPKs and NS30N7 treatment as compared to only nitrogen treatment. Where different sources of nitrogen were used, such as urea, ammonium nitrate, and poultry manure. We have tested the efficiency of NS30N7 and compared it with such widely spread and widely used in Europe fertilizers, sulfur-contained fertilizers as NS2613 and CAN27. And in the case of N2S combination S327, we have observed a higher yields of fresh biomass and dry biomass. The test under vegetables also yielded good results. So there was a difference in carrot yield amounted to 8 tons per hectare, or almost 60 or about 60%, and absolute mass of tomatoes was exceeding 90 tons per hectare when using NS30N7. Why is it so? How does it work? So if we compare NS30N7 with urea, then we can say that the NS30N7 can be applied under any weather conditions with minimal losses. So around 60% of urea volatilizers, I would say that to 60% of urea volatilizers under certain conditions, especially under dry conditions. NS30N7 contains nutrients directly available for plants use, and urea contains the elements which are not directly available for plants. 12% of nitrate nitrogen assimilates immediately, and 18% of ammonium nitrogen stays longer in the soil and delivers nitrogen on the later stages of plant development, while urea mineralization process lasts at least 40 days. When comparing NS30N7 with ammonium nitrate, we would say that NS30N7 contains sulfur. So this results in a higher efficiency of a fertilizer and synergistic effect between nitrogen and sulfur, which leads to assimilation of additional nutrients and leads to higher production. Ammonium nitrate does not contain additional nutrients, and moreover, up to 30% of fertilizer of ammonium nitrate fertilizer can be leached out. What additional bonuses you can get from using NS30N7? It is well known that the phosphates applied to the soil with fertilizers are not fully assimilated by plants. So the part of them stays in soil, so around 60% stays in soil and is unavailable for plants, and it stays in so-called phosphate deposits. So under the NS30N7 treatment, a part of phosphorus is transforming from this phosphorus deposit and it becomes transforms to an available for plants form. It happens because of the local acidification. So this local acidification is basically hydrolysis of ammonium sulfate. So this process is not something unique, and it takes place in the soil when applying sulfates. Doesn't matter what is the source of it, but we conducted a trial when we compared different sulfur sources with our product on soils low in available phosphorus, and we observed such a result that the amount of released phosphorus was high in case of NS30N7. Additionally, NS30N7 creates a good atmosphere. It creates a good atmosphere, so it basically positively impacts the microorganisms and soil mycorrhizal fungi, which take place in the assimilation of phosphorus, and this happens because NS30N7 is a physiologically neutral fertilizer, unless as ammonium sulfate and NS2614, for example. What interesting? Well, an interesting result we've received when we conducted a trial in the southern regions of Russia. We conducted this trial under the forage maize or corn, and we compared two forms of nitrogen fertilizers, ammonium nitrate and NS30N7. We applied ammonium nitrate and NS30N7 in equal physical weight, and unless the amount of nitrogen delivered by ammonium nitrate was 4 kilograms higher than delivered by NS30N7, we observed a 7% yield increase in case of using NS30N7. Moreover, we observed crops which were less damaged and contained a less amount of empty seeds. NS30N7 is a good fertilizer for the direct application and is a good source of nitrogen and sulfur in case of blending. So let us compare NS30N7 with ammonium nitrate and urea, and so we begin with amount of nutrients. So first of all, the NS30N7 has both nitrogen and sulfur. Two others do not contain additional nutrients. NS30N7 is the granular fertilizer, which is of a high importance in case of making mixtures, creating mixtures. So the resistance for caking is superb in the case of NS30N7, and the granule strength is more than 5 megapascal. Moreover, the granules are bigger, so the granulometric composition is 3.1 millimeters of medium-sized granules, and compared with ammonium nitrate and urea. NS30N7 is compatible with most granular fertilizers. However, we strictly do not recommend to make mixtures on the with urea, NS30N7 and urea. The NS30N7 granules do not crash in blending equipment, and bulk density and static strength of NS30N7 are as those of potassium chloride and TSP, SSP, DAP, MAP, and others. Phosphate great storages properties of raw material and blend itself. In the end of our presentation, I would like to summarize what I have said previously and one more time compare NS30N7 with urea and ammonium nitrate. So first of all, as I have told already above, so NS30N7 contains sulfur, and two other fertilizers, they do not contain additional nutrients except nitrogen. NS30N7 is a granular fertilizer with improved granule strength, and NS30N7 is less hygroscopic than urea and ammonium nitrate. It can be used at any season of the year, and for example, urea might be used only during rainy seasons, otherwise there are great losses due to volatilization, and ammonium nitrate, for example, can be used also at any season of the year. The NS30N7 increase efficiency of applied phosphate fertilizers. Nutrients are in every granule and directly available for plants for assimilation. For example, in case of urea, this fertilizer do not have nutrients which are directly available for plants. Ammonium nitrate also has directly available for plants nutrients. Due to the ratio between nitrate nitrogen and ammonium nitrogen, the NS30N7 has less leaching, while urea volatilizes and ammonium nitrate leaches greater than the NS30N7. In case when you have questions, please, you can contact me personally or a marketing department on the contact listed here on this slide. You can also visit our website www.uralchem.com and to read more about the sulfur behavior in soils and also importance of sulfur use, you can visit the page timeforsulfur.com. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day.